Here we go. Chapter 27. Thraces, Antea sapi. The Thracians, ante before, sapi often. A clause tum maxime rometalque rege. No comma, disciverant. Okay. So disciverant means gone away from an alliance or not joined to them anymore. So the Thracians have, we'll say, revolted, ante before, sapi often. Then, point in time, especially in this ablative when Roemartake was their king, with him as their king. Ili, the nominative singular. So he, I'm guessing this king, barbaros, plural accusative, et signus militaribus, et is et and et, most likely correlatives for both, signus militabus with military standards, et disciplina. I'm guessing that would have to be an ablative since ili is the nominative. Armis etiam Romanus ad suaverat. So this means they become accustomed. So ili has ad suverated. He is accustomed, the barbaros, the barbarians, both to Romanus signus militaris, to Roman military standards and discipline, and etiam armis. Maybe the Romanus is going with the armis, so with Roman arms. Said, but a pizone per domati, plural, they were domesticated or tamed, per thoroughly, by Piso. So they were thoroughly tamed by Piso in ipsa captivitate, the ablative, with this in, they ostenderade rabium. So they showed their rabium, their madness or their fury, in the ipsa captivity, which is a female, in the captivity itself. So they were thoroughly tamed by Piso, but they were showing their rabium. Quippy, since cum catines morsibus temptaret, so which is a word for attempted, and I'd say the whole group here is just done by this singular T, feritatem suum ipsi puniabat, which is the verb. So they attempted morsibus to bite, I'm guessing with their teeth, with their catinas, which are chains. Ferratatum suum, this is an accusative, so this is their ferociousness, and puniabat means they punished. So ipsi, they punished themselves, or they were their ferocity. We put this in English. They were punishing the wildness was punishing them, actually. That's accusative, so you can't do that. So we'll just say anyway, they were punishing themselves with their wild ferocity when they attempted to bite their chains. And you might want to use a different word than since for quippy. Okay, we got 25, 6, 7, 8, 28. The Dacians, montibus inherent. They stick to the mountains. This is what they stick to, and that's the subject. And so back there, quippy also means for this reason, so you can put the. So this is a short sentence. The Dacians, they stick to the mountains. And I've lined up a daily dictionary. Catina is the chain and fetter, which they were biting, as we saw. Copy is under it. In plautus, it also means auxiliary or help sometimes, but catina is the word of the day. Okay, indi cotisonus regus imperio quotiens, which means whenever or when, concretus gelu danuvius Junxerat ripas de curare solabat et vicina populare. Okay, so indi was then. Cortisonis regus, double genitive, imperio, dative or ablative, most likely ablative. In the imperium and under the power of this double genitive of King Cotiso, whenever concretus gelu danuvius, danuvius and concretus, I have the us nominative thing here. So the ablative section is separate. So whenever the Danube was concretus with gelu, with frost, so concretus means stuck together. Junxerat the rippers, the riverbanks were joined by this solidifying of the water being frozen. Decurre solabent, so they were accustomed, taking the infinitive, to run about. Decurre means to run about, and vicina, the vicinity, the neighbours, populare, to ravage them and depopulate them, which doesn't actually mean what it later means. When it means killing people, it actually means to just seize goods and ravish the place. Visum est Caesaro Augusto. So it seemed to Caesar Augustus, Agentem, the race, attitude, in the approach, difficulum semovere. So it looked like this race was difficult to move, or the approach to them. They were a difficult race in the approach, but he was going to semovere, which was remove them or drive them off. You see visum est and certum est taking the infinitive a lot. Igator, therefore, miso lentulo, with lentulus being sent, it's ablative absolute, or with lentulus sent, ultro, beyond, ulterium perpulat ripem. Perpulat means he drove them basically, or repelled them, pullos to push away. So he pushed them beyond the furthest river bend, the ulterium ripper, and the ripem's the riverbank. Citra, on this side, pres sida constituta. Garrisons were set up. Constituta is the female version for garrisons. Sic thus, tum, then, Dacia non victor. Dacia was not defeated. Said but Samota, which we saw from up here, was to remove them. Atqui and dilata, postponed. Or their defeat was postponed. 29. Samata patentibus campus inequitant. So these summations, the A is plural, they inequitant, the equa means horse, they're on their horses, through the wide open plains. Et hos, and these people, per eundum lentulum, through the same lentulus, prohibere denuvius satisfuit. So the same lentulus, he was satisfuit, he was satisfactorily to prohibit hos, to prohibit them from the denuvio, was it the denube, whatever, nihil praetor, nothing besides, neves, snow, pruenisque, and frost, et silvus, and woodland or forest, habent, plural, nt. So that these people have nothing besides snows and frosts and woodlands. Tanta barbaria est, ut, tanta and ut, the correlatives, they are so barbaric, ut, that, nec intelligent pacem, that they understand not peace, they don't understand peace. 30a, Germanium quoque utinam, that's the word that means would that in a lot of cases. Vincere tanti non putasset, exclamation. Okay, so utinam, would that, non putasset, he had not thought, tanti so much, vincere to conquer, quoque also the Germans. So would that he had not committed such a thing, tanti such, so he had not thought up to conquer these people. Magus turpita, it was more turpid as a disgrace. Amiss est, miss means what was lost, quam, than gloriosa adquisita. So what was lost is more disgraceful than any gloriose adquisita, than any glory which was acquired. So again, utnam means would that, which is probably what's taking the exclamation. Sed qua tennis. This is a tennis family. Tennis means as far as, and qua means where. But Cortrinus, but to how far, scibet, it was knowing, patrum suum Caesarem, his father Julius Caesar, bis twice, transvectum ponte renum, transvected the Rhine, or crossed across the Rhine, ponte by bridge, quaes isai, skiabat's a head verb, so it's taking the errata obliqua infinitive. In his quest for, quaes is searching for bellum war. So this quaetinus, you might just put as in as much here, if you want to translate it. In Ilias, honorem concuperant, facere provinciam. Now, Caesar's not multiple people unless he's a one of those people called him multiple personalities. So it looks like he was desiring to make it a province, facere provinciam, in honorem, split with the genitive of him in his honor. So Augustus wanted to make it a province, Germany, in honor of Gaius Caesar, his patrum suum, his father. Et factum, right? And this would have happened. This would have been a fact. See if the barbarians, so vitia nostra quam imperia ferre potuisset. If these barbarians potuisset, is that correct? It should be ant to make it good English or good Latin. If the barbarians were able, Fere, to bear this, tam vitia, so much as our vices, vitia, as our imperia, as our power over them or our control of them. Okay, so missus in eam provicium drusus. So drusus with this past passive missus. Drusus was sent, having been sent into eam provincium, this province, however you want to translate eam, if it's this or that. It's just the female accusative. Primos. So first of all, he dom-witted the Uzipets. He defeated them, tamed them. Indeed, then tenkateros per curit. This is the perfect form. It reproduces the C in it. And the kathos. So per currit means he ran over them, so he overran them. Who are these people in English? Tekteroi or something, I'm guessing, and kathoi. Okay, that'll do. Nam, for marcom anorum, the genitive, spoilus and insignis, these look ablative, quendam, editum tumulum. Okay, so tumulum can be a burial mound or a small hill, so editum means it was built up, so there was a certain quendam, the demonstrative pronoun, certain mound was built up, looks like with the spoils and insignibus, these could be the decorations and standards of the Marcona Morum, in trophea modum, this would be in the modum, in the way of, with the genitive of trophies, excoluted, he cultivated it, or basically created this tumulum. Editum just probably means that it was high up. So it's contrasting. A tumulum is usually very small, and editum means high up. So take it as you want. Indi, then, valedissimus nations. The most strongest, that's a superlative, the most strongest nations, plural. The Chiroskos, Subosqui, and et Simbracos parata. So parata means equally. So these were the Cherusi, the Subai, you hear a lot of, and the Simbracae. Is that right? Okay. Aggressive sex, so he was aggressive against them. He attacked them. They were attacked. He made, it's periphrastic, so he made his attack against the strongest nations. Qui, who, Viginti centuribus, who 20 centurions, actus, centurions, who with this act of putting 20 centurions in crucem, torturing them basically, centuribus actus goes together. Hoc velut, this as if sumserat sacramento, as if they had taken an oath, a sacrament. So bellum's the war. Adio curta victoria spe, spe is in the ablative, so in the hope of victory, victoria. So they would have a curta spe, a certain hope of victory. Adio ut, such an extent that the praedam, the booty, in antisessum, in looks anti means before, so it's like an anticipation. In paction, in this pact, so they were divisoranting the praedam, the booty. So basically, then he attacked the most strongest nations, these three guys, who had tortured 20 centurions as if they had taken up a sacrament or an oath for war, to such an extent they had a hope of certain victory that they were divisorating the praedam. They were dividing the booty in anticipation in this pact. Okay, and how much floor have we got to go down to there? Cheruski, the equos, the horses, the Subai, the aurum and argentum, that's gold and silver, the Simbri, Sicambri, the captives. Elegant, this comes from elego, to choose or to pick. So they chose each people, the first one horses, second gold and silver, and the third people captives. Sed omnia retrorsum. But everything turned out in reverse, backwards, contrary to expected. Victor namque drusus. For namque, drusus victor, the apposition. So Drusus was the victor. The equos, horses, pecora, the flocks, torques, these are things twisted around the necks, so necklaces, eorum, so they're horses, flocks, and necklaces. Ipso que, is that, I think that should be ipsos que, really. So a lot of spelling differences. And ipsos, and themselves, divisit, he divided, predam, they were the booty, and vended it, and he vended it, he sold them. Praeterea, adverb. Besides this, in tutelam, in safeguard provincia of the province, a presidia, looks like we're in the ablative, atque custodius, ubique, what the hell is that? Ubique, disposuit, so he placed, ubique everywhere, presidia, which is garrisons, and custodius, these are probably watchtowers or places where you could keep a lookout, per the Mosem Flumen, and per the album, and per Visurgum. Okay, now these got English names, I presume. The Mosem is the Muse, the Alban is the Elbe, and the Visurgum is the Weser, if you know where they are in Europe. In Rhine quidem ripper. So in ripper means on the riverbanks, in can mean on in the ablative. Quidem, indeed or even. So in the riverbanks Renai of the Rhine, quinquaginta, which is 500, amplius, which means more than 500, castellus, these are little castles. What the hell's Dixerit doing there? This, what have we got? In the lobe has dir, X, it looks like the X and the R were reversed. So direxit means he erected it or built them. Bonham, is that the name of the place in English? Borman, I think we've got. B-O-R. God, never seen a text with so many differences. Bormem and Geziorcum. Pontibus Jungsit. So he looks like he joined bridges at Borman and Gezium. So more like he crossed these places with bridges, Pontibuses, and Classibus with a fleet, he firmed or strengthened them. In visum atque in accessum in id tempus. Again, id and tempus are neuter. So an unseen and inaccessible in this time. Her cinium saltum patifecit. Patifecit means he made, fecit, pati, open. So he made open the saltum, which is a pass, or could be a forest up in the mountains, the Hernicium saltum. So this pass, which was unseen and unaccessible in those times, he made open. So he did some work there. Ear was probably this. Deniqui, finally, or in short, in Germania, pax erat. So in Germany, erat pax, there was pax. Ut mutatae homines, so that the men mutata were changed. The alia terra was alia, the land itself was alia, different or something. Calum ipsum, the heavens itself, or probably the climate. Mitius molliusque, just two ambs here. Mitius, milder and softer. The weather seemed, or the climate seemed. Yeah, viderita, there's seemed. And instead of using quam, we're using a comparative in the ablative, then a custom solito. Just about done. Deniqui, finally, again. Non per adulation, not through flattery, said ex meritus, but from merit or worth. Defunct, though he's now dead, in the ablative, ibi, there fortissime juvene. So defuncto fortissime juveno, the dead young man, the defuncto juveno, most brave, fortissimus in the superlative. And so with the dead young man, the brave young man dead there, ibi there, ipsi, himself, quod numquam alias, which had never alias at another time or place. Senatus, the Senate, cognomen ex provincia dedit. So the Senate gave him, debited him, a cognomen, which is a name from the province. The end.